Hi there, and today I'm building a second Duracell tanker, but in a less modern and more vintage style. Now, I really love Lego trains, and if you've watched some of my channel before, you may well know that I made a series of tankers. Firstly, I made a purple Cadbury's one, then I made a Milka chocolate one. I changed the design slightly to make this Coca-Cola one, but my absolute favourite was this Duracell one, which was based on an N-gauge Minatrix truck that I had as a child. Now, I'm also a member of the LUKR, which is the Lego UK Railway Group, and each year they design a specific Lego truck for their members, and you're able to buy printed parts for those trucks so you can build them at home. So 2 years ago, it was a standard British 5-plank wagon. Last year it was a flat wagon with container, and then this year, just after I'd built all my tankers, it was a tanker. And the idea of this, as well as getting an exclusive member wagon, is that if they have meetups, you can bring your trucks along and they can make huge rakes of the same truck. So as I'd loved my Duracell tanker so much and their design was more of a vintage look, I thought, why not build another one in the vintage style? Now, I have bought the parts to make this truck in dark blue and in dark green, and these say LSUR on it because that's the Lego Southern UK Railway Group. But before I build these, I thought I'd build my Duracell version first. So after downloading the instructions, I raided my parts store and found as many parts as I could get. And then I placed 4 bricklink orders to get the other parts I needed. And now I've got all the parts I need to make my vintage version of my Duracell tanker truck. So in a second, I'll show you a quick speed build. But if you're going to like this video, please do give it a thumbs up. And of course, hit subscribe and click the bell icon to be notified of more Lego videos. But let's get building. And here we have the finished article. That was a really nice little build. It is built to 7 wide. The base down here is 6 wide, but obviously this frame at each end is 7 studs wide. They use their own brick built buffers instead of using the Lego ones, and they're using the old style 9-volt magnets. Weirdly enough, to buy 2 of these carriers and the 2 magnets, it was cheaper to buy them with their buffer beams as well and then detach them rather than buying these 2 individual pieces on their own. So I've now got 2 spare buffer beams, but I'm sure they will come in useful at some point. The only thing I've noticed is these are meant to be tight across here and mine are very loose. So I think these are meant to be 11 studs long, and I didn't actually check that that's what they were when they arrived in my order. So I'm just going to double check that. No, they're the right length, so I'm not quite sure why they aren't taut like the other ones. So I may look into that next. Let's compare it with my more modern day version, and we'll just zoom out a little bit. There we go. It's slightly shorter, and of course it doesn't have the stickers, but I'm going to get onto that next. But I'm going to check out, see if I can work out why these strings aren't taut as they should be, and then get some decals going. The other issue in building was there's a layer of plates underneath here, and that needs to be in the colour of the tanker. So obviously up here that's black plates, that's really easy. Nothing comes in metallic gold in a plate, so there's two 1x4 gold tiles under there, but they weren't required for the construction, so they're quite happy being under there without any studs on top. You obviously saw as the builder's going on, there's lots of rainbow coloured bricks inside. None of that gets seen, so it's easier just to buy use the parts I had rather than buy extra parts. So I'm going to look into those strings, and I'll see you in a few seconds. So after a split second for you, but what was actually 5 or 6 minutes fiddling around with Lego parts for me, I've worked out I've got exactly the right piece. It's in exactly the right place, so I'm not quite sure why it's not taut like it is in the images. So what I've done to fix the problem is I swapped the positioning over. So this one used to go to here, but I've actually stretched over to the opposite stud, and similarly that one now stretches over to here. I've also rotated these round so the string comes out from the inside of the stud, so it kind of stretches round that dish and then along to the opposite position. So back from the vinyl cutting machine, I still had the logo from my previous tanker, so I've cut out 2 of these. They're slightly smaller as the new tanker's obviously slightly shorter than the old one, so I've cut both those out. I'm going to stick one on each side, and then we've got a finished tanker. And looking at differences between the two tankers, well, obviously my original one was more of a modern style, and this is a bit more vintage. I do, however, like their design where they've got these slopes much closer together. On my original design, when I was trying to make the shape of it as close to the 6x6 dish as possible, I made it ever so slightly larger, which meant we got these slight gaps here, and obviously those bracket pieces that were in there you can't get in gold, so we've got this slight black line. Whereas in the new one, they've made the cylinder ever so slightly smaller than the dish piece, which means they've managed to close those gaps up, and it's a lot neater and tidier up here. So I do prefer that much more on the newer version than on my original. Now, the Reading Brick Show is on in 7 days' time, and fortunately the LUKR are displaying one of their layouts there. So I think the next thing to do is take this one along and let it run around the track with some other tankers. If you have a preference between these two, please do let me know in the comments below which one is your favourite. If you've liked this video, please do give it a thumbs up, and of course, please subscribe for more LEGO videos.